Welcome to Just Being Real with Houston. Today we are out on a pontoon boat in beautiful Hernando Beach, Florida, out in the flats, a popular swimming area, and smelling that nice ocean breeze, salt water. It just reminds me why I love Florida. And today I have a special treat for you. He goes by the name Captain Doug. He's a real estate agent here in the Tampa Bay area, and he has a motto that goes by family first. And what I'm going to do is let him explain what that means. So let's get into it.
Well, thanks, Houston, for having me today. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Um,
So, what does that mean? Family first.
so, family first to me means you treat families like you want to be treated, and you always have to look at the entire family, not just one, one individual member. You have to look at it as a family unit,
Right.
and as a father, I have 8 children. Um, we have a big family, and we love when they all come together. We do this thing every year that we call Thanksmas. That's the one time a year we ask them to all come together, and we just get them all the kids together and their spouses, and it's complete chaos, but it's absolute love, and it really just it epitomizes what I think of when I think of family first. Now, do you have to have kids? No, it could be just a husband and wife.
Right.
It could be a big family, but if you treat the family first, you'll be rewarded. And as a little bit more about my family, I mentioned I have 8 kids, and we are moving a little bit. So if you see us looking a little bit here,
And if you see the camera moving a little bit, it's because of the wind and moving. So
we're just trying to keep a
bear
little
with
breeze.
us.
So we have 8 kids. They range in age from 35 to 10.
Wow.
And the youngest, we actually adopted him when he was 4, and he's autistic. Now, you would think after the rest of the kids, you would know everything about what it is to raise a child. Let me tell you, Lincoln teaches us something different every day. With him being autistic, he's nonverbal. We have to try to interpret what he's needing, what he's trying to say to us through different actions, and worry about his safety all the time because he doesn't understand the concept of safety. He's escaped from our house. In the neurodivergent world, they would call that he's eloped. It was probably one of the scariest days of my life. He was normally sitting in the living room when I would come out from being in the shower, and one day I walked out and the front door is wide open and Lincoln's nowhere to be seen.
Oh, man.
So I immediately, yell at my wife, call 911, got everybody in the house. We all started walking the neighborhood, driving the neighborhood. Fortunately, after she got on with 911, they were getting calls that there was a little boy running down the road from other drivers. So he was seen right away. And again, fortunately, a officer had just come on duty and was able to catch up with him and get him safe. But he was driving or running down Barclay Avenue. And for those of you who don't know, Barclay Avenue is a pretty busy road in Spring Hill. And it was at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was right when everybody was going to school and lots of cars. So it was pretty scary.
Oh, I bet terrifying.
And not to sound too morbid, but when we were talking to the police officer, after we were done and he was telling us everything, he was telling us about a program in Hernando County called Project Safe Return. And that's where you can go online and register your child and put characteristics of your child, picture, and if they should ever elope and you call 911, they can immediately blast that out across all of the radio waves. So every officer in Hernando County would immediately know what had happened and who they were, so they would know who they're looking for. But what that officer said after that was really chilling. He said, And we also use that in the event we have to identify remains.
Yeah.
And that really just kind of hit both my wife and I. Like, wow.
Because if my kid just goes and hides in the house and I can't find them because they're being quiet, it terrifies me. So I couldn't even imagine having a kid that would just go out the door that you just never know.
And
That's got to be terrifying.
And like I said, he just doesn't understand safety. So
right.
He thinks it's fun.
Going outside, gonna go play.
He's going running, and
yep.
It isn't the first time that he's eloped. He eloped from the school he was at when he was in Indiana. That's a story for a different time. But I guess, when I hear stories like what just happened this past weekend in Hillsborough County, they had an alert go out for a child, 5-year-old nonverbal autistic child who was missing. Family woke up in the morning and the kid was gone, and so they immediately called police. There was a huge search, and in this instance, it was very unfortunate. They found that child in a retention pond, and he was deceased. So, that family, instead of worrying about back to school supplies, is worrying about funeral arrangements. And that's truly heartbreaking that they have to go through that.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
That's why I do what I do. I don't know everything about keeping all these children safe, but I've learned a lot. And in my real estate business, if I can help any family identify potential safety issues where they might need to install a different type of lock or a window lock or attach something to a wall because their child climbs, or even have sensory issues. I can tell you that Lincoln had an issue when we moved into our house where a certain light, it would make him go crazy. And so we ultimately figured out it was a sound being emitted from the light. And, until he desensitized himself from that, it was bothering him. So we couldn't put that light on for a while. And those are the types of things that I think most other real estate agents don't think about. I think most real estate agents have really good intentions, but until you live through the things that I've lived through, you just don't even think about them. National Association of Realtors says that every single person knows at least 12 realtors. So when you talk about everybody knowing 12 of us,
yeah,
how do you know who to work with?
Exactly.
And I truly believe that if you help people, that the blessings and the benefits will follow.
Right.
It's not about chasing the next check or chasing the next closing. It's about making sure that a family has a house that works for them, that
it's getting a little bumpy,
that keeps them safe, and they ultimately are in a place where they can feel secure.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I might have 5 carpenters, but each one's going to be a little different and specialize in different things. So that's how I look at realtors. And okay, you specialize in this, you're specialized in this, you're going to be a better fit. Even personalities, because not everybody has the same personality. I don't jive with everybody, but oh well.
That's true. I mean,
so you got to have more than just one. It's huge.
And you just mentioned, someone that you jive with.
Yeah.
It really is. If, you can establish a relationship with somebody and know that you can trust them, that they have your best interest in mind, then that's who you need to work with. I don't want to work with everybody.
Right.
I really don't.
Then you won't have your family first time.
But, that's data shows that there's 1 in 4 families have a neurodivergent family member. And there's plenty of work out there for everybody.
Absolutely. There's enough sand in the sandbox. Because there's only so many hours in a day that you can help. How many clients can you help in a day? Truly schedule a time to go house hunting with. How many can you do that with?
If I'm actually taking someone out looking at homes, I'll do 1 person.
See?
One family.
One family. That's all, because you don't want them to feel like, hey, you're just a number.
Oh, maybe people think this, but I don't know. I thought it before I became a realtor, but I do a lot of preparation. When someone says to me, I want to look at these 5 homes, it takes me several hours to prepare to get ready to go see those homes. It's not me just getting online and scheduling the time and saying, okay, let's go. No, I go on, I look at the history of the home, I try to see how long it's been for sale, the data behind it. Maybe if you try to understand, motivation of the seller, look at the schools that it's around, the safety of the area, especially if you know that they have an autistic son or daughter, you know, the safety in terms of sensory, are we on a busy street? Do we have different issues we need to worry about when we go look at this house? And take your time.
Right.
I mean, most people schedule 15 minutes in a home. When you have families that really need to understand this, they're spending a lot of money and making the biggest purchase of their lives. I think they deserve more than 15 minutes in the house before they make that choice.
Absolutely.
So take your time.
I know how long it takes people just to pick a roof system, let alone a house, which is
and yet that's what
way more.
That's what people almost expect. Like, okay, we'll give you 15 minutes in the house, and then you go, okay, well, let me put an offer in for $500,000. Huh? I just took 15 minutes to choose to spend that kind of money.
Wow.
Let's get real. Keeping it real.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. Is now that's just crazy. So, without saying any trade secrets, because I know that's important to keep. But what is something that people should look for or ask when looking for a realtor? Do you have any?
First and foremost is, can you get along with them and can you trust them? It comes back to the relationship. If you can't have a trusting relationship with a person, then there's no need to work with that person. You need to know that I am keeping your best interests in mind in everything that we do.
And not just
going, oh, well, this is a commission. No, you need to understand that I'm looking at it from, does this work for you and your family?
Right.
And if you can't believe that, then you don't want to work with that person. Right. At least, again, my opinion. Somebody might disagree with me out there, but
let them.
We're allowed.
Now, what about, like, if I was say hypothetically, if I was looking for a real estate agent, what do? Go take them to lunch, breakfast, go meet them a couple times, or do you just do a sit down?
I prefer to do things in person.
Right.
I'll give you an example of something that recently happened to me. I had a couple who I called because they had submitted some information through a Facebook ad that I have. And so I called them and said, hey, I saw you submitted your information. You were looking for some homes. And they're like, yeah. And I said, I'd really like to come and meet you and, get to know you so I can really help you. And so I went to their house and we spent an hour and a half talking about what they wanted, what they were looking for, their goals. And at the end of the time, I earned their business, but they could have very well said, we just didn't get it. And I would have been like, great, I hope you find someone who can help you.
Right.
But if you spend the time getting to know someone and what they're trying to accomplish, then you create that relationship and that bond that creates trust.
See, that's how I feel about meeting people. I don't want to just, because people can be fake or put on a good show in a 30-minute meeting at a networking group or seeing them here or there, but actually to get to know them in an hour and a half, that would be kind of hard to keep an act on, because somebody's going to slip up eventually. I would think in that hour and a half time, 2 hour time, because you get relaxed. People start getting relaxed.
And, something else I would suggest that you do, if you have children, have the children there. Children are
good at bringing out stuff.
Are outstanding at knowing and seeing the truth.
Right.
And they aren't afraid to say it. I heard a story one time about some realtors. It's kind of funny. They were a couple of different realtors, and the family was working with one. And then this other guy, they met and they were talking, and he played with the kid. So after the realtor left, the kid went to the parents and said, "Daddy, why are you working with that jerk? This guy's fun." And I mean, I just, it was one of those stories where you're like, oh, wow. The realtors weren't there to hear it,
Right.
but the kid said this to the parents. Now, who do you think that they called when, it came down to who were they going to work with?
Right. Whoever the kid can see. And seeing, you know what, that's great, because my kid's gonna bring out the worst in somebody. Because they can be sweet and everybody might think they're lovely, but let it catch them on a time where they get told no, that they can't do something that they want to do, and I can watch the other person's face on how they take the reaction of what my kid does. So that makes a very good point.
I mean, obviously, you've got to make the best decision for you.
Yeah,
but kids are so truthful.
They are, very much. So going back to, I know a little bit of your story and from the networking groups and getting to know each other and stuff, but what did you do before real estate?
Well, we'll go way back.
Okay.
We'll go way, way back. So I went to high school in Clearwater and grew up in Largo. And right after high school,
What high school did you go to?
I went to Clearwater Central Catholic.
My mom went to Boca and St. Pete.
Boca Ciega.
Yep.
That was down, yeah, that's the other side of Pinellas County. That would take you an hour to get to from Clearwater, even though it's 10 miles.
Right, right.
I joined the military straight out of high school, and I enlisted in the Navy. I was in the nuclear power program, and I went through the nuclear power training and was assigned to a submarine. Nice. So I did about 2 years on a fast attack submarine. And then after that, I went to an aircraft carrier. So I got to see the smallest ship and the largest ship. And in the course of that, I was involved, our ships were involved in the activities in the Persian Gulf. So we got to see oil wells burning in the distance during that first Iraq issue. After the military, I did some school, and ultimately I got hired at a pharmaceutical company. Some people may know, pretty big one, called Eli Lilly and Company.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the largest market cap pharma company in the world right now. And I'm not doing a advertisement or anything for Lilly, but the products you may know or hear on the news, Mounjaro and Zepbound are kind of the big ones. But they have a whole portfolio of medicines. One of the things about Lilly that I really liked, and it only happened at the end of my career there, is they were working to try to change the image of pharmaceutical companies. A lot of people look at pharmaceutical companies as these evil tyrants that are out there trying to make money. And yeah, they're making money. They're making a lot of money. I'm not going to lie about that. But if you've noticed any of the commercials they've done recently, they've changed the whole image from a pharmaceutical company to a medicine company. And they're really trying to make medicines to help people, which I thought was a really good idea to work on image. I did that for just over 26 years. And
so what was your role there?
I had a few. A couple of my notable ones in there. I was in the ethics and compliance department. I was in charge of the company's anti-corruption program. So we dealt with all the processes and procedures to prevent bribery across the world. And I also did some company-wide program improvement processes where we built these programs that we rolled out across the world, so that tried to make things more efficient for the company. I did some manufacturing work in there. I started in toxicology, so I was initially in some research roles. So yeah, I had a quite a diverse career. I went from toxicology all the way through. At the end, I was in like program management, where I was in charge of systems. So did a lot of different things.
So, can we touch on that bribery? Is that like with your when your reps go to a doctor's office and those famous? I hear stories about people that go to the doctor's office and one week they're getting, or one time they're getting this medicine, and then the next time they're saying, oh, don't use that one now, use this one, but it's for the same treatment. Is it because they're getting, the typical is, oh, they're getting money back from the pharmaceutical company? Is that a form of bribery or?
Yes, it is, and that type of behavior is prohibited 100%. There are actually a couple different regulations there, some that are specific for inside the United States and some for outside the United States. And well, the United States has a federal law called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which says that you cannot provide anything of value to any government official. And outside the United States, since there's socialized healthcare, every doctor is a government official. So you cannot provide anything of value to a government official outside the United States. So things like sending them to a conference or um, giving them supplies in their office is prohibited, and so we had to have processes in place to make sure that wasn't happening. Inside the United States, it was happening too, but it's covered under a different law. And
It's verbiage.
yeah, there's a lot of lawyers involved.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, it's all illegal. Sorry, all illegal. You can't give doctors things to make incentivize them to prescribe your medicines. There is a lot of transparency today that prevents that. ProPublica actually publishes the money that each doctor gets from different pharmaceutical companies. So it's all required to be reported and tracked. So you can go online if you want and see how much money your doctors are being paid by different pharma companies. Some may be getting a lot, some may not be getting any, just depending on what their role is. I mean, if they're running clinical trials, they're going to be getting some money from pharma companies. But if they're not doing clinical trials, they
shouldn't be getting anything then, right?
Well, what is allowed today is pharma reps are allowed to provide nominal things like a lunch to the office, right, so that they can come in and talk about what their products do.
Like a lunch and learn.
Right, but they aren't allowed to come in and say, well, if I come in and give you lunch for the next 6 months, will you prescribe my medicine? That is completely illegal.
Makes sense.
So the industry has tried to clean up a lot over time because of the negativity that was seen with it, and essentially people trying to buy prescriptions. And today, that is just frowned upon tremendously.
These people saying, "Oh, we're going to have a housing crash." What are your thoughts of that?
My thought there is you always need somewhere to live. Right. Everybody needs somewhere to live. Will prices fluctuate? Yes. Are we going to see double-digit growth like we saw years ago? Doubtful. I don't know that the economy can keep up with that. People still today talk about the interest rates in the sixes. Well, if you look back 25 years or more, sixes are a good rate.
Yeah, I heard people had 18, 20.
Oh yeah. How
did you make your
back in 70s and early 60s or 70s? It was.
But the house values weren't as much though.
Well, that is very true.
That's the be a little bit better of a okay with it. But if the values keep going up, do you see the values ever coming down?
You might see a dip.
What have you seen in the last, since you've been in real estate?
I've seen it, the values going up slowly.
Right.
So, I mean, some of the prices, if you price your house right today, you'll sell your house. But if you price your house the way you think it should have been 3 years ago, it will sit on the market for a long time. So you have to price it right for today's market.
Right.
You have to price it off of what reality is.
Right. Yeah, I see a lot of people going on Zillow and all them and saying, "Oh, well, Zillow says my house is worth XYZ," and in all reality, it might be. You might think it's worth that, but it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay.
Yep.
You get the name Captain Doug.
Well, I kind of came up with that when I was getting ready to retire from Lily and was thinking about what I wanted to do in my next life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I worked on getting my captain's license. And someday I hope to be able to take a charter out and just take people out and have fun on the water. Um, right now I'm focused on real estate and helping people that way, but eventually I want to be able to bring them out and bring them out on the water and take them out here and let them enjoy this, because not everybody can do this, and I think everybody should have the opportunity to do this. So if I can do that eventually, then that's what I want to do. But that was where Captain Doug came from. Was hey, I want to do this. I got my license, and bam.
Interesting. Interesting.
So it's just me, where I want to be, and who I am.
Well, guys, thank you for watching. If you liked it, click the subscribe button, like, follow, share, all that fun stuff. Help support the channel grow. And also, I'm going to keep Captain Doug's information in the description below. That way, you can get a hold of him if you need anything. Till next time, keep it real.